Hello, my name is Justin Alexander, and I'm a fourth year environmental engineering student here at Western. And I'm also a mental health ambassador for the engineering program. The mental health of engineering students has always been a issue since our program is just simply so demanding. And I think that you can all agree that this year has definitely amplified all the problems that we usually face during the year. For a while now, myself and other engineering students have advocated the department asking for improvement and the addition of new resources for mental health issues. So in light of this, the department has launched a mental health campaign to speak to students and make them aware of all the resources available and also to hear out suggestions about how might help and improve things. So you're probably wondering, why am I here talking to you and not someone from the department? One of the suggestions that we had was to have students share their experiences with mental health and about how they were able to overcome them with the various resources and their own tactics. I just feel that it's more of a genuine and relatable approach to have one of your peers, talk about it. And I know that when I was at my worst, uh, when people were just rhyming off different emails, phone numbers, and random resources, it just kind of went in one out ear and out the other. And it just didn't feel like a solid connection when they were giving me that information. Now, I don't know how personal I should get, but I think it'd be more effective if I told you a little more about myself. I was diagnosed with depression and suffer from severe ADHD. And another extremely hard challenge that I had is that I actually don't have a family, and I've been supporting myself since I was a teenager. So in terms of emotional and financial support through all this, I've kind of been on my own. And that's a lot to tackle given the depression and ADHD, of course. Now, the truth is that mental health and depression, it's a very wide subject, and we're all going to experience it differently. We're all affected by the different external and internal factors, and these things that plague us could be for short term or long term. It varies from everyone. So I can't cover or describe everything that someone could be facing, but what I can do is talk about my personal experience and tell you about how reaching out to these different resources actually helped me through it. During my first few years of university, I'd worked three different jobs at the same time just to support myself through the program. And I was also suffering at the time from undiagnosed ADHD. Having this made studying and exam taking very terrible. And for the first 3 years that I was in university, not a single time had I ever finished or even come close to finishing an exam. I was just way too distracted and anxious, and I just couldn't get through it. Now, many of you don't know, but ADHD is actually very closely linked to people who suffer from depression. And with all the things that were happening in my life and my mediocre success in school, that really fed into my depression. And there were many days that I simply couldn't get out of bed. I just wouldn't do or just not hand in assignments. I simply wouldn't show up to write quizzes, and all that drive and ambition that I had was just gone. And I think the worst thing of all of it is that I really felt like there was nothing I could do. Like this was entirely my problem, and the only way to figure it out was to do it myself. And I felt like there was no one I could talk to. And I felt like that because everyone seemed like they were seamlessly moving through the program without issue, and this was just me going through this, and I need to figure it out by myself. I didn't want to talk about it because it seemed like it was a weakness. And honestly, I hate that because we need to normalize talking about these things, because the more that we do that, people are going to feel less alienated for feeling this way. And we're going to be more inclined to seek out these resources because you're going to be talking to people and they're going to assure you that what you're experiencing is normal, or that they've experienced it themselves, and that there is a solution, and they can help show you what the solution is because it helped for them. And what blows my mind is that we're so quick to assume that there's something wrong with us and that we just need to get over it. But you know that if someone else was describing these things to you, these feelings of depression, if a friend was telling you these things, you would be racing over so quick to motivate them and doing everything that you can to help that person. And yet we're so quick to turn our back on ourselves. And I know this because I was stubborn as hell and I thought it was all my fault and I didn't want to get help because I was the one that had to fix my own problems. And there are a multitude of different resources available that can help you. And I can give you some personal examples of different resources that actually provided uh, tangible solutions to help get me through. Now, if you recall from earlier, I simply could not be working that much and be successful in the program. There's just not enough hours in the week to do both. So when I reached out to financial aid, they had considered my situation and they'd helped me with bursaries and providing me with different financial resources so I could spend more time focused on school and attending to my mental health. My feelings of depression, they became reaching a scary point throughout the program. And I was advised to utilize psychological services and where you can actually go and get free sessions with a therapist here on campus. And if I'm being honest, I'm not a big believer in therapy or talking things out, if you will. It just doesn't have the same effect on me. But what I do know is that it's done wonders for some of the other ambassadors. And something that I did find productive is that aside from just communicating with therapists, they actually help provide you some tangible solutions. And that's another component of what they do. The therapist that I spoke to, after consulting with them, said without a doubt that I'm suffering from high functioning depression and ADHD. And honestly, that was something that I never considered before. I just assumed it was my problem, that I was lazy, and that I was just sad. And what's important to note is that these are actually considered a form of disability, and you can actually get help. You can actually get help for them. Through Student Disability Services, I was able to get permission to write my exams separately so I wouldn't be so distracted writing them. And I was able to receive extra time so I could actually think clearly and not be so anxious because it was clear that I wasn't going to be successful without these resources. Secondly, I was also granted special access to private rooms in the library through disability services because I would get so distracted studying the common areas that I would never be able to catch up on my work. And the thing about mental health and depression is that it really is like a sinkhole. And if you don't pay attention, if you don't give it the time of day, you're going to just sink deeper and deeper. But when you speak out and ask for help, you start making steps towards taking yourself out of it. And you start making steps towards reaching your full potential. You're all in this program because you want to become engineers. And what you need to understand is that engineers are problem solvers, not problem ignorers. So I encourage you to take stock in the things that you think are holding you back and reach out to the people that are around you and describe to them how you're feeling. Because the moment I started speaking up about what was going on with me, that was the moment that solutions started coming my way. And we're all experiencing challenges to our mental health differently, but the way to improve them always starts the same way, and it's by speaking up.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm in my final year of software engineering and I have anxiety, depression, and attention deficit disorder. I've had a very long journey, not only with my mental health, but with engineering as well. And I wanted to let you know that your journey through life, school, and mental health is your own and that it is perfectly valid and normal. I really struggled at the beginning of engineering, adapting not only to university, but kind of life in general. And a huge source of support for me was going to therapy. In my personal opinion, everyone can benefit from therapy, and not a lot of people realize that this is a totally normal thing to need. Therapy really helped me process my emotions, learn how to communicate my needs and boundaries with my family and friends, and give me the tools to help me through tough times. I found it really helpful to have someone there to listen when I needed to unload, and the knowledge that this person was there and would never judge me, but just be there to listen was really comforting. The biggest advice I'd like to pass along is that you don't need to know what you really want from therapy, just that you want a positive change in your life. I realized that I needed support when I reflected on my weeks and realized that I was having more bad days than good days. I was really struggling with sleeping and general motivation. Therapy can be a really daunting task to start, but I regret more than anything that I didn't start it sooner because for the first time in a really long time, I'm having many more good days than bad days. And this has made engineering a lot easier, but also kind of life in general. Undergraduate services helped me find these resources and people that helped me get where I am today. And if you aren't sure where to start, reach out to them, and they're a good resources to start that journey.
Hi, my name is Austin Teshuba. I'm a third-year software engineering student, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Undergraduate Services Office and the different kinds of supports that they offer. I don't have to outline for you how difficult an engineering degree can be. The stress and the rigor of this program manifests itself differently for everybody, and I was no exception. I was doing really well in my classes, and I was getting great grades, but no one really saw the struggle that was behind that curtain. I remember feeling so confused. How was I crumbling under the pressure, but nobody else was? I was so happy that I reached out to the UGS. The first thing I realized was I was so not alone. Engineering was so difficult for everybody, and we all need support to get through it. The UGS also pointed me in the direction of mental health supports to help me improve my well-being. They also looked at my course plan and helped me identify that my engineering degree was a lot more flexible than I thought, and made sure that it worked for me and I wasn't working for it. Overall, if you're in need of support, please be sure to ask for it. It doesn't make you any less of an engineer. It certainly doesn't make you any less of a person. And if anything, you have nothing to lose. Thanks. Be well.